some observer of this shows up and gives another prologue here. Take a look at this prologue. How many lines long is it? 14. What is this another? It's another sonnet. Look at the first 4 lines. Lie, err, die, fair. The next 4, again, looks, complain, hooks. Again and complain being, at least the way that we pronounce English, is sort of half rhyme. And then the next 4, access, swear, or access, really, swear, less, anywhere. And then the final couplet, meet, sweet. So we have another sonnet again opening this prologue, just like we had, opening this act, just like we had for Act 1. And again, sonnets associated with love poetry, very appropriate here. Enter chorus. Now, old desire doth in his deathbed lie, and young affection gapes to be his heir. That fair for which love groaned, that love for which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched, is now not there. Now, Romeo is beloved and loves again, alike bewitched by the charm of looks. But to his foe supposed he must complain, and she steal love's sweet bait from fearful hooks. Being held a foe, he may not have access to breathe such vows as lovers used to swear. And she, as much in love, her means much less to meet her new beloved anywhere. But passion lends them power, time means to meet, tempering extremities with extreme sweet. Let's just take a quick look at this. Old desire doth in his deathbed lie. What's this old desire that prologue is referring to? That's now in his deathbed.
The love that he has.
Right. Not the love from Julia. The old desire.
Yeah, before me.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, for Rosaline. Right. And young affection gapes to be his heir. The old man is dying on his bed, and the heir here, who's going to get his stuff when he dies, is really eager. That fair, that beautiful one, for which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched, is now not fair. Compared to Juliet, she's no longer beautiful. Now, again, how is this different from before? Romeo is beloved and loves again.
He feels it back.
Right, it's returned. Not only does Romeo love again, but he's also beloved now. He is also getting loved. Whereas with Rosalind, that wasn't the case. Alike bewitched by the charm of looks, both enchanted by the magic, the charm of appearances. But to his foe supposed he must complain. He has to beg, make this complaint, make this appeal to the person that he thought was his enemy, his foe, his enemy supposed, his supposed foe, his supposed enemy. He now has to go and speak to. And she, on Juliet's part, she steals love's sweet bait from fearful hooks. What's the image here? Stealing love's sweet bait from fearful hooks.
Like a fish takes the bait off.
Right, like the fish taking the bait off of the hook. Here, love is that sweet bait, but she has to take it off of these hooks, which, if she isn't extremely careful, will catch her. Being held a foe, since he's considered an enemy, he may not have access to breathe such vows as lovers use to swear. He doesn't have access to her because he's considered a foe. He can't speak to her the same way that he would otherwise, make these vows, these promises that lovers usually make. And she, as much in love, her means much less to meet her new beloved anywhere. She's just as much in love as he is, but her means, her ability to meet him are what? Compared to Romeo's ability to come meet Juliet. Her ability is much less. Why does Juliet have less ability to go meet Romeo than Romeo does to meet Juliet?
Because her father is
Well, Romeo's father is Lord Montague. Their fathers are equally important.
I mean, we saw that Romeo's parents are not really addressed. They don't even know where he's in the start.
Right. Yes.
He's always out before morning,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know.
And Juliet, on the other hand, what are her parents like to her?
So they made a proposal to marriage for the other guy.
Right. So they are already working on this marriage proposal. we see in the scene when Juliet is first introduced, we see that her parents are much more protective of her than Romeo's are. She's a little bit younger than Romeo. She's also a woman, a girl, really. And there's also some personality stuff there. Whereas Romeo's parents, they're saying, yeah, I don't even know where my kid is. He goes off wandering wherever, and I'm worried about him, but his parents don't forbid him to go places. But Juliet, both being a girl and also having parents who are a bit more protective, doesn't have this ability. Notice Romeo's normal companion is whom? Whom do we usually see Romeo hanging out with? Benvolio. Benvolio is just his friend. He's some guy that he hangs out with, one of his peers. Juliet, on the other hand, is always with whom? The nurse. Right, the nurse, who's sort of there acting as a parent. Juliet's under supervision. Again, both because of her sex, but also her parents are just a bit more protective of her and her age. So, yes.
I dropped my card in the hallway.
Go ahead. Okay, and then the last couple. But passion lends them power. Time means to meet, tempering extremities with extreme sweet. Their passion gives them the power to meet, and time gives them the means, the opportunity. They have the will to do this, the power to do it because of their emotions, and the time gives them an opportunity. And it tempers the extremities with extreme sweet, with something extremely sweet. They're you can say for extremities, they're positions that are otherwise very far apart, these two families that are fighting each other, or we could just mean difficulties by extremities, as they say in the note there. Okay, and then the chorus leaves. Scene 1, Romeo, Benvolio, Mercutio. Okay, Benvolio. John, do you want to take Mercutio, or do you want to wait for Issa to get back?
Romeo,
Oh yeah, so actually, okay, so you're going to take Benvolio. I'll take Mercutio then. So John, would you read Romeo for us there at the very beginning?
I go forward with the second here, turn back to her, right.
Yes, and he leaves. Remember, they're leaving the party. He says, can I go forward when my heart is here? His heart is still with Juliet. Okay, Benvolio.
Romeo, my cousin Romeo.
He is wise, and all my life hath stolen him home to bed.
You run this way and let this orchard the wall. Call good Mercutio.
He left the wall of the orchard of the garden there. He jumped over the wall. Nay, I'll conjure. Speak to my gossip Venus one fair word, one nickname for her purblind son and heir, young Abraham Cupid. He that shot so trim when King Cophetua loved the beggar maid. He heareth not, he stirreth not, he moveth not. The ape is dead, and I must conjure him. I conjure thee, by Rosalind's bright eyes, by her high forehead and her scarlet lip, by her fine foot, straight leg and quivering thigh, and the demeans that there adjacent lie, that in thy likeness thou appear to us.
And if you hear thee, thou would anger him.
Yeah, so Mercutio here is joking around. He says, look, I think he went to bed. And Benvolio says, why don't you call him? And Mercutio says, no, I'll conjure him like he's a demon or a spirit. I'm going to cast a spell and conjure him. And so he says these different things. He says, I conjure thee, I summon you by Rosalind's eyes, by her forehead, her lip, and various other body parts he mentions. That you appear to us. I'm summoning you to appear to us by these things. Benvolio says, if he hears you, you're going to make him mad, making fun of him like this. What does Mercutio think is going on? Where does he think Romeo has gone? Either to bed or where?
Rosalind.
Yeah, to go see Rosalind. He's making fun of him for his obsession with this girl. They, of course, don't know that is exactly what is not on Romeo's mind. Okay, Mercutio then continues. We're in line 26 of scene 1, Asa, on page 67. This cannot anger him. 'Twould anger him to raise a spirit in his mistress' circle of some strange nature, letting it there stand till he had laid it and conjured it down. That were some spite. My invocation is fair and honest. In his mistress' name I conjure only but to raise up him. Jack's got the
Yeah.
boy.
Come on, hide himself among these trees. To be constructed with the morning night. Bring his love and best befits the dark.
Mm-hmm. The Gully says he's hiding in the trees to be sad again. Mercutio then, if love be blind, love cannot hit the mark. Now, will he sit under a medlar tree and wish his mistress were that kind of fruit as maids call medlars when they laugh alone? Oh, Romeo, oh, that she were an open arse, thou popperin pear. Romeo, good night. I'll to my truckle bed. This field bed is too cold for me to sleep. Come, shall we go?
Go then, for it is in vain. To see him here, that means not to be found.
Yes, and so there's some sexual jokes about the way that these fruits appear, the way that they look. There's a picture of a medlar on page 96. Anyway, it's got this kind of appearance to it. It looks sort of like a persimmon or something. They've got this hole in them. Okay, that's why they got the other name. Scene 2, Romeo comes forward. And let's see. So somebody take either Romeo or Juliet. They're the only two in this scene. Okay. Romeo comes forward. He jests at scars that never felt a wound. Only people who have never been hurt laugh at other people's scars. He jests at scars that never felt a wound. That's how he feels about his friends here. They're making fun of me, but that's because they've never been wounded to the heart like I have. Enter Juliet above, but soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I'm too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eye in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Hey, me?
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a captive.
Yes, so Romeo here admires Juliet. We've taken a look at that first speech before. And then she just says two words. And what does he compare her to in lines 29 to 35?
A bird singing? Oh, I don't know.
Not a bird singing.
Oh, bright angel.
An angel. Oh, speak again, bright angel. You, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head, she's up on the balcony, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals. So again, we have religious imagery used by Romeo to describe Juliet. Here, she isn't being compared to a saint, but rather an angel. She's this angel up above him, and he's like one of these mortals looking up, gazing up at her. And Juliet here says this most famous line from the play, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? What does wherefore mean? People often think wherefore means where. She's not asking where he is, but
Why?
why? Why are you Romeo? Why is she asking why are you Romeo?
Because
What's the problem with him being Romeo?
he's a Montague.
He's a Montague. She says, Deny thy father and refuse thy name, she says. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. She says, you either give up being a Montague, or if you don't want to, I'll give up being a Capulet.
That's love right there.
Yeah, that's committed, especially given the influence of their families. Romeo then, again, not speaking to Juliet, but speaking to himself here for the audience to hear, shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? Juliet continues.
Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself thought. Nay, Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand nor foot, nor arm nor face. Oh, be some other name belonging to a man. What's in a name? That which we call a rose. By any other word, would smell as sweet. So Romeo would. Were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without the title, Romeo, doff thy name. And for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
Yes, there's a great illustration here from Shakespeare's time of what this orchard might have looked like, this garden the Capulets had. What does Juliet say here? "'Tis but thy name that is my enemy." It's only your name that's my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? What does it mean, being a Montague? It's not hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face. Well, be some other name belonging to a man. She wants him to have what? Some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. By any other word, would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. The name that we call a thing doesn't affect what it is. We could call a rose anything else, and it would still have that same sweet smell to it. Similarly, Romeo could have any other name. He would retain, he would keep that dear perfection which he owes, which he owns, without that title. Even without the name of Montague, he still has the name Montague is a part of him. Romeo, doff thy name, take it off. Doff it is you normally doff clothing, you take off clothing. She says, take off your name like a piece of clothing. And what should he take in return for his name? Take the name off and put what on?
Oliver.
Take all myself, yes. Romeo then speaks to her, I'll take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou that? Thus be screened in night. So stumblest on my counsel.
How does Juliet respond when Romeo speaks to her?
I'm kind of get out.
What man art thou?
And she's saying like, who is he?
Yeah, she's like, whoa, who are you? Why are you in my backyard?
Oh.
Yeah. Thus be screened in night, hidden in the dark. So stumblest on my counsel. You're stumbling on my inner thoughts here.
So she didn't know he was there?
No.
Oh.
She doesn't know that he's there.
He was there.
No. She's also been speaking as a sort of aside here. She's speaking. He hears her, but she doesn't know that he's there.
Okay, that makes sense.
And notice again, it's not specified there that that's the case. But we can tell here from this line that all of a sudden she's surprised that somebody speaks to her. That Romeo has just been eavesdropping on this conversation. Also, because Romeo says. He says back in line 40, shall I hear more or shall I speak at this? When she says something, he's thinking to himself, should I say something now? Or should I listen more to what she has to say? And now that he knows how she feels, he says, call me but love. Just call me love, and I'll be baptized again. I'll take a new name. Henceforth, from this day on, I never will be Romeo. And Juliet is surprised here. And Romeo then says, when she asks, who are you? He says, by a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have yet not drunk an hundred words of thy tongue's uttering. Yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death. Considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore, thy kinsmen are no stock to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they see thee.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes. And but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love.
By whose direction foundest thou out this place?
By love, that first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I should adventure for such merchandise. We'll pause there. Romeo is very caught up in this moment. Juliet says, "Who are you listening to my private thoughts?" And Romeo says what in lines 58 and 59? 58 to 62 or so. Does he just, she could just very easily say, it's Romeo Montague.
You don't know who got my voice?
No, he said,
I don't want to hear your name.
right, he says, I don't want to, why does he not want to tell her his name?
Because she wants
She
to
was
have a
speaking
different
about
name.
him.
She wants him to have a different name. She was just wishing that he had some other name.
But
says-
the way they're talking, it goes perfectly like they're talking to each other. The way they play moves.
Yes. Well, so here, he's been listening to all of this. That's why he's able to respond in this way. She's just been talking about how she wishes he had some other name. So then he says, when he speaks to her and she asks, "Who are you?" he doesn't say his name. He says, "By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint," referring back to their first meeting, calls her saint, "my name is hateful to myself. I hate my name because it is an enemy to thee."
You said, so you said it before he found out, or before she found out that he was outside.
Yep.
You said that he was talking to the audience.
Yeah, he starts talking to himself, and the audience hears him.
Oh, okay.
So, the way we picture it is he's sort of, either this is going on in his head or he's whispering this to himself. We as the audience can hear it, but Juliet doesn't hear it because she's up there. And similarly, when Juliet's speaking, not only can the audience hear it, but she's unaware that Romeo's there and can hear it also. So, yes, if I had my name written down, I would tear it. And Juliet recognizes his voice, that he's Romeo, and a Montague. She says, "Aren't you Romeo, a Montague?" He says, "Neither. I'm neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike." If you don't like the name Romeo or the name Montague, no, I'm not. I'm not Romeo or Montague. And she asks him very practically here. Juliet continues to show that she's a bit more practical than Romeo, as we already saw with the way that they interact with their parents. What does she ask him in lines 67 to 70?
What is it?
To hear.
How did he get in?
How'd you get here? And wherefore? And why? What's her concern? Right. So there's this tall wall or fence or something around the place. And if Juliet's family catches him there, that's not going to end well for him. They're going to assume he's up to no good. And how does Romeo respond? Lines 71 to 74. What does he say? To her very practical question, how did you get in here and why?
It talks about how their lives more pure and fine eye than 20 with a sword.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second, but in 71 to 74, to her first question, he responds, with the wings of love, that's how I got over the walls. Okay, Romeo, like calm down. You know, she's like, how'd you get in here? Don't you know it's dangerous? He's like, well, love's wings.
Like a prank.
I or perched the walls. I landed on top of them like a bird. Stony limits, stony walls cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Since I was able to come here to you, I did because I love you. When love can do something, it does. It dares do it. Therefore, thy kinsmen are no stop to me. I don't care about your kinsmen. And Juliet then follows up on her very practical question with in 75, if they do see thee, they will murder thee. And Juliet and Romeo here says, he said before, there lies more peril, more danger in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, just look sweetly on me, and I am proof. I am safe against their enmity, against their hatred. It says, if you just look on me, then I am safe from anything bad that can happen to me. Juliet's not convinced. I would not for the world they saw thee here. I don't want them to see you here. Even for all the world, I wouldn't want them to see you here. And Romeo says, again, in the next 4 lines, to Juliet's concern about her relatives finding him there, what does he respond in 80 to 83?
He has a cloak.
Well, what's the cloak here to hide him?
Her.
Not her.
The dark.
The darkness, right? Night's cloak. Night is like a cloak here to hide him. And what else? What else? Moreover,
It's better die there than die.
yes.
Dying waiting for her.
Right. So he says, and but thou love me. Unless you love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate. I'd be better off dying because of their hatred than going through this death prorogative, this delayed death, lacking thy love. I'd rather die now than have to live on just waiting to die without your love. Again, Romeo, very driven by his passions here, his emotions. Juliet continues to ask these very practical questions. 84, what does she ask him?
Whose direction?
So what does that mean? By whose direction?
Who told him where to go?
Right, who told you how to get here? Okay, you ended up underneath the balcony of my bedroom. How did you know where to go? And Romeo's response is, who told him? Love, that first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, he lent me advice, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, I'm no sailor, the pilot's the guy that steers the ship. Yet, we're now as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I should adventure for such merchandise. I'd sail the whole ocean for you. Yes, he is very, very much in love here. So let's try to get through the next. Well, yeah, let's go through a little bit more. So continue with Juliet in line 90. We'll see how much more of this we can get through in the next couple minutes. Actually, let's pause here because the next chunk really should go till the end of the next page or so, or maybe even 2 pages. So we'll pause there. Tomorrow I'll get you questions about Act 2, Scene 2. Act 2, Scene 1 is really just an introduction to this scene. This is the single most famous scene in the play, the balcony scene, with that line, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Yes. All right. We'll pause there. Don't forget the Act 1, Scene 5 questions for tomorrow. Thank you very much.